It's gripping stories and twisted tales. They will entertain you, guide you, murder you to the Alton Towers Dungeons.
Hello everyone and welcome to my official review of the Alton Towers Dungeons that opened on the 23rd of March 2019. Of course, last year we did see the arrival of the Wicker Man, a GCI wooden roller coaster. That ride is amazing, and if you want to go check out my full review on that, it is in the top right now. So yeah, I did get the chance to go to Alton Towers on the opening day, and I did get a chance to experience the brand new Alton Towers Dungeons, and here's my full review of it. So, starting with the facade. Now, you can see it on screen right now. This has no spoilers in it, so if you want to keep watching till when I start talking about the inside sections, then you can do. At that point, I will be putting a timestamp for when you can skip to the end summary, which that end summary will not include spoilers either. So yeah, the facade. Of course, it used to be Charlie and the Chocolate Factory, and now they truly have transformed it into something new. In my opinion, the area itself does look a lot nicer in real life than it does on photos, because at first I was like, it looks a bit meh in the photos, but when I saw it in person, it actually looks quite good. So you have a castle stone wall thing with the entrance located straight down the centre of that, and there's a few bits of theming such as barrels and dirt piles, all that kind of stuff to the left and right of it, and then other than the castle there's just wooden poles, which some people are led to believe they just had leftovers from Wicker Man, but I doubt that. But yeah, those wooden beams or poles, as I said before, they do look a bit out of place and a bit plain on the facade, but it's okay to say the least. And something else, this is my main problem with this facade. There was one part of the Charlie and the Chocolate Factory facade still left up at one of the blue light card days, I believe it was. And someone pointed it out on Twitter and everyone was like, oh, it looks awful, hopefully they get rid of it. They've just painted over it with black paint. Hopefully they'll do something with it sooner or later, but it does look pretty bad, that side. Anyway, from this point there will be spoilers. I've put a timestamp on the screen right now as to when you can skip to. It'll be in the comments and the description as well, just in case you don't want to hear spoilers and you just want to hear a summary of the entire experience, which at the end that won't include spoilers. So those who are still watching, let's talk about the inside of the dungeons. So you first walk into a room. It's the same room as the entrance, there's no door in between it or anything, and it's very well lit and it's very well themed as well. You're then queued up along some wooden fences, and then you are greeted by an actor, and he takes group photos with whoever you're with on one of the stocks. Bear in mind this is optional, but it does come free with your dungeon ticket, so you know, why not? You were then talked to through an actor and a speaker once you're batched up to actually go into the full experience, and it just goes over what to expect really. Anyway, you're taken into the first scene, the judge's courtroom, and this room, like most rooms in the experience, it's very well themed in there, and you get greeted by an actor who is sitting in the judge's chair, who's obviously the judge, and certain people in your group are sent to trial. They basically get brought up towards the podium next to the judge, and the whole group is told a story about that singular person who is guilty for something, and there's a few jokes here and there, and it's very interactive as well. And that's what I'd say about this whole experience, is that it scares intertwined with laughter, which I know it's laugh and scream is the whole motto, but it really does do that. Anyway, so the courtroom part was good, the actor was amazing, as they are in the entire attraction, but I think the trials lasted a bit too long. They did 3 of them, and one of them was a quicker one, 2 of them were quite long. They should have just kept it at 2, and then had 2 people come up, have like very different stories for both of them. They were pretty different, but remember I'm doing this off of my memory, so they might have been completely different, but I remember them being quite similar. And they could have just done 2, a bit shorter, and well, that's how they could have improved it, but that's just my opinion. And then you have the boat ride. Funnily enough, this was the part that I was most looking forward to and interested to see what they've done, and I was very underwhelmed, to be honest. It just it wasn't great at all. You were greeted by another actor, you were led onto the boat. That was actually the best part of that entire boat ride, getting on it, because the actor was very interactive again. And the boat ride had a lot of plain spots. It was just black in some areas. I know some mirror maze that used to be on Charlie and the Chocolate Factory. Chocolate Factory. Yeah, the mirror maze in that stayed. I only went on it once, so I actually don't really remember that. But there was a few bits of string hanging down. There was a few water and smoke effects as well. There were 2 decent scares. There was one from above and one to the left right at the end of the ride. There was projections and decent theming where there was some, but it could have been a lot better in my opinion. If it just had a lot more physical theming rather than multiple projections, I think it would have been way better than what it was. Not to say that it was awful though, but I just think it could be improved a whole lot more. You then exit the boat ride and are in another interactive scene. From what I saw of it, because I was at the back of my group and in the last boat, it looked like a decent holding point interaction scene. That's how I'll explain it. But once again, the actors did a great job to actually put something there so you're not sitting there waiting for everyone and then moving. You actually have something to occupy you throughout the time that people are still coming in. Once again, in that little holding area, great theming there, and the actors did an amazing job as well. You then step through into a room to the torturer, who puts a member of your group in a cage and another member of your group in a torture chair, something like that. Once again, this was very interactive with the people who were sitting there and even the audience, and was once again very well themed as well, and there were some decent jokes and innuendos in there as well. But this scene wasn't too over the top. There wasn't massive effects going off here and there. It was just a simple room that was themed with the torturer, and the actor once again did a great job in there, and it was a decent part of the experience. You were then pulled into a pub scene in true English fashion, and you were then sat down in front of this bar. There's an actor behind the bar, and once again, actor did a great job. And yeah, the storyline in that room was that this guy called Dick Turpin was going to come to the bar and basically kill you, which is a really lovely storyline. And at one point there is screens in the back windows, and he walks along them outside as the actor shuts the shutters on the inside to block his view, and then all the lights go off and the door to the right opens and Dick Turpin comes in, which this part was really weird because I wasn't expecting it, but he basically walks around the room. He's not an actor, it's a speaker, but it's surround sound, so it's like 1 minute the sound will be in like the bottom right corner of the room, the next minute it'll be in like the other side. It was really weird, but he basically says some things to you, and there's a few effects in the back of your chair, such as neck pokers and air cannons. They're all in the back of your chair. And then there's this one at the end, where as Turpin goes to, I think it's kill someone or something, that's part of the storyline, all your seats just tilt back, which was really surprising. I wasn't expecting that. But that scene was definitely one of the highlights of the entire experience. And yeah, it's a great part. The theming in there, I'll say it again, the theming in there was great. It looked like a proper pub. I'd just say there is this wooden pole on one of the sides. I can't remember if it's on the left side or not, but I was sat on the far right behind, and you can't really see the actor because there's just this wooden pole in the way, and maybe that could get looked into because I don't see if it has much purpose, but it does block the people on the right. That it does block their view quite a bit. You then enter an operation room in like a hospital, and you greet another actor who is the doctor, and they talk to you about the plague and how it's taking over. They take someone from the audience, or the group I guess, and seat them in, well, a seat on the stage, and from there there's a few effects, such as in the seat there's like apparently some leeches like get out of one of the bottles for medication, and then in the seat it kind of comes up. It reminded me a lot of I'm a Celebrity at Thorpe Park, which But yeah, the smell in there, by the way, was rotten, but that's a good thing, because the smell was put on for that reason. So it smelled bad, but it was good. You know, you know what I mean. While she's grabbing down to get some of the body parts in one of the mannequins that's lying on the bed, there's a lot of different effects with that. There's some water effects, sound effects, and of course, at the end, something that really surprised me is that she takes the heart out, and it's still beating, and you can see it beating, which was a decent effect, but I wasn't expecting it, so it was a bit weird. Another thing that happens in most of the rooms is that the lights will go off, the actor will move places in the room, and the lights will come back on, and she'll just be standing in a completely different location, and kind of do a little bit of a jump scare, which is good. It probably makes for some of the best scares in the entire experience, but some people could say it gets a bit repetitive, but personally I really like that factor. You're then led down another plain black corridor, which I just want to mention, there are quite a few just plain corridors going down to separate rooms. Hopefully that gets improved and they actually do some theming on the walls and stuff, but right now it's just black walls and it's kind of ruins the whole experience. But other than that, as I said before, great theme around the entire thing. You're then taken into an abandoned cottage which you're told to cover from the storming, so you quickly get in and you're sat down around this room, and there's a table in the centre of the room. Just want to say this now, this is my favourite part by far of the entire experience. It's just, I'll get into it in a minute. So the actor in that room comes in, he puts his lamp on the table, or his light on the table, and he blows it out, and then he starts talking about the story of Molly Lee, or Molly Crow. And as the actor is explaining all this, he does a few of those switch places while the lights are off, and when they come back on the scare, he does kind of those things as well, which is great. And then the lights go off once he chants for Molly Lee to kind of the ghost to appear. He chants that song, and then the lights go off and they come back on, and he's disappeared, or the actor's disappeared, because I got a mail, but obviously you may get different in your experience. What then happens is that the lamp that he was carrying, that's now on the table, starts moving, and all the lights start flickering. Then there's pots and pans in the centre that start clanging together. There's wind from behind blowing the curtains in the windows. Shelves start falling, and then the lights go off, and Molly Crow appears in all, well, not in all four corners, but scares in each of the four corners of the room. And then the lights go back on, and the actor's back that you were with originally, and he tells you that you've survived the dungeons, and better luck next time, because you will definitely die next time, which we obviously know you won't. But that final scene, think of it as just a bigger version and a better version, if that, of Darren Brown's Ghost Train Rise of the Demons finale, because obviously the old version didn't have it, but that finale is amazing when the demon comes out and scares everyone. But this was even better in my opinion. So as a summary, of course, this won't include spoilers, so those who have just skipped to this point, welcome back. The facade has some great theming on it, especially around it as well. The castle wall itself is really good, and despite it being very different to Charlie and the Chocolate Factory's facade, it does look very nice. The rooms on the inside fit with that. They're very well themed and filled with amazing actors. They're probably one of the best parts of the entire experience, because the actors did a great job in there. And the boat ride, in my opinion, was a bit of a letdown, but I'll leave that for you to decide when you get on it yourself. There are some great effects in there, there are some great smells in there, although they do smell a bit rotten, but that's how they're meant to be. And my favourite part has to be the end. But obviously that's my opinion, and that may be different when you experience it yourself. So, finally, is it worth the £5? And in my opinion, it is very much worth that. If you haven't experienced it yet, and you're wondering whether or not to actually go on it, I recommend you do go on it. It gives you a break from the rides, and it gives you a really good experience. It's 45 minutes long. In my opinion, it could be a bit shorter, because some of it is a bit longed out, but it is a really good experience, and it's something that Alton Towers needed, to be honest. Well, that's my opinion. And just for your information, because I didn't know this when I went, and I messaged Alton Towers on Twitter and they replied saying what you can actually do. If you did book online, you can get dungeon tickets at the entrance of the dungeons. You don't have to queue up in the resort box office for 7 years at the start of the day. You can just go straight to the entrance when it's near your turn. I recommend getting there like half an hour earlier than when you're supposed to go in, and checking that your ticket's right, because we got in like 15 minutes early, so it's a result either way. But yeah, that's it for this review. Anyone who has experienced it, what was your thoughts on it? Don't try and spoil it for other people, so leave it spoiler free, I guess, but tell me what you thought in the comments. Thank you for watching, and goodbye.
Guess I'm stealing one. You're back when I told you that you were the one. I still mean it now. You just being you. And I told you things, but you don't like the truth. Insecurities, yeah, you won't overcome. Yeah.